It's a big week in the NFL. Week number 12, and obviously it's headlined by the biggest regular season game of all time, and just game of all time, between two-win teams in the Las Vegas Raiders and the Cleveland Browns. I can't wait. It's in the video. We're going to talk about it. We have a best bet for that game, and it's a crucial one. It's the game I'm waiting for the most this weekend. It's circled on my calendar. 105, I have an alarm set at 104. Get ready. It's perfect timing. But we still have 5 best bets for week number 12 of the NFL season, folks. Obviously, through Saturday, we have 2 for Sunday morning, 2 for Sunday afternoon, and 1 on prime time. So, folks, before we get into the video, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for some more NFL predictions and best bets here on the channel. Later today at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, we'll have our 5 best player props for week number 13 of the NFL season. Earlier in the week, we posted our full week 12 predictions. So we won't obviously get to every single game today, but earlier in the week, we did post every single game or predictions for every single game also on the channel, folks. Daily NBA best bets, daily college basketball best bets, UFC. Actually, by the time you're seeing this, this is over. College football might still be on, so go check that out on the channel as well. Okay, on to the first of our 5 best bets this week for the NFL money lines and spreads. We kick things off in Chicago, Illinois. Yep, my continued confidence in the Chicago Bears carries over now to yet another week. Give me the Bears money line minus 140 at home against the Pittsburgh Steelers. We are really still doing this, aren't we? Wow. We actually are. I'm still picking the Bears. How? I don't know. I think they're probably going to lose their next 2 games. I'll say that right now. But I think they're going to beat the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, a big part of this equation, obviously, is Aaron Rodgers. And I know, again, Rodgers is obviously still the best quarterback on the Steelers roster. Is there much of a drop-off from him in Mason Rudolph? There is. I will say there is. But it means more this week than just any other week, obviously, because Aaron Rodgers owns the Chicago Bears. So we shall see if Raj plays or not. He is questionable, right? The initial reports for Rodgers was that, okay, he's going to have surgery. He's out for multiple weeks. Rodgers says, you know what? With his wrist injury, I don't need surgery. I feel fine. I want to still play the Chicago Bears. Again, I don't know. I believe Rodgers is going to do everything in his power to win this game or to play this game, obviously win the game too. But if he does, play, he's going to try to win. I think he's going to try everything in his power to play the game right. First of all, I think so. I don't think Rodgers is playing another season. We will see. I think the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to want Rodgers back for one more year while they kind of evaluate what they want to do at the quarterback position going forward. But I think Rodgers is probably done. We'll see. Again, there's a very good chance Rodgers gives it one more go if they don't win, if they fall short, which they're probably going to. I don't even know if they're going to make the playoffs. But regardless of all that, Rodgers is not getting another chance to play in Chicago. The Steelers would not, the soonest they won't go to Chicago for another 4 years. So it's the final opportunity. Rodgers gets to go to Soldier Field, obviously a place where he has been very vocal about how, he owns this team and whatnot. I think the Bears win, regardless of the fact if Rodgers plays or not. And I think this line, if Rodgers gets ruled out, this line goes from 140 to back to probably what it opened at, which is around minus 155 to minus 165. That's my guess if Rodgers does not play. So I would probably jump on it early because I believe this is the best the line's going to get. I think potentially if Rodgers gets marked active, then you might see us fall down into the minus 135 to minus 130. But I don't think it's going to get any better than minus 140 because at the beginning of the week, right, when it was assumed that Rodgers was not going to play for Pittsburgh, this was still around minus 160-ish for the Chicago Bears. So this is probably the best line we're going to get it at. So I'm going to take Chicago right here. I'm going to take Bears at minus 140. Chicago's a 7-3 team this season. Yes, they are the division leaders currently. In the NFC North, they're 7-3 after starting the season 0-2. They found a way now to win 7 out their last 8 games, with the only loss in there being a road game to the Baltimore Ravens, which we did have on the best bets, but whatever. Chicago is playing really good football, and it's a product, obviously, of the run game. Caleb continuing to play good enough football, obviously. Ben Johnson scheming and the play calling from Ben Johnson has been really good for Chicago as well. And yeah, Pittsburgh's coming off a big win, right? They needed to beat the Bengals last week at home, and they did exactly that. It was a very tight game, though, before Flacco threw the pick six. Before Flacco threw the pick six to Lenore Ryan's own and Kyle Duggar, there's a chance the Bengals actually win that football game. And I know, okay, you can look at the final score and say 34-12. It wasn't even close. It was. It was very close for a very long time, and I'm telling you that one play, the interception for a touchdown, really flipped that game on its head. So good win for Pittsburgh, but it was a game that the Bengals were right in there. But regardless of all that, you got to give the Steelers defense credit for holding such a great offense and explosive offense to only 12 points. Pittsburgh, though, has traded wins and losses for the last 4 weeks. Starts with actually back-to-back L's to the Bengals and the Packers, and then a win over the Colts at home, a loss in Los Angeles to the Chargers on Sunday night, and then a home win against the Cincinnati Bengals. Steelers haven't played that well on the road recently either. They've lost back-to-back road games. They are a 2-2 road team this year, with one of the wins being against the Patriots, which is aging very well, and then a close game in Week 1 against the Jets. But then back-to-back road losses going into this game, obviously, in Cincinnati on Thursday Night Football and in Los Angeles on Sunday Night Football. The way the Bears are playing, I have to go with Chicago, which is something I did not expect to say at the beginning of the season. I was not planning at the beginning of the year to say, oh, how great the Bears are. Look at the momentum the Bears have. I think they're going to make the playoffs this year, most likely. We shall see. I think, either them or Green Bay is going to fall out. And yes, I still am confident enough in the Lions that they're going to win the NFC North. I know it doesn't look great right now. Trust me, I think they're going to win the North this season still in Detroit. Anyways, though, I think the Bears win this football game, minus 140. If Raj does not play, take the 2.5 on the Bears, but I like money line more. Chicago gets it done at home at Soldier Field. On to our second best bet of the video. We go to Arrowhead Stadium for another massive game this week. There's a bunch, right? Colts, Chiefs, Bucks, Rams on Sunday night. Browns, Raiders, the Shador versus Vegas game, right? There's some potentially Joe Burrow's return. There's a lot of big games this week. This is another one. It might not get bigger than this. As the Kansas City Chiefs take on the Indianapolis Colts in Arrowhead at Kansas City. 8-2 Colts on the road, taking on the 5-5 Kansas City Chiefs. Kansas City is favored by 3.5 points, and we are going to take those 3.5 points with the Colts. The Colts get a chance to kind of bury the Chiefs right here. It wouldn't end the Chiefs season. It would not. But we went over this at the beginning of the week, and it still applies. And actually, it's worse now since the beginning of the week after the Houston Texans found a way to beat the Buffalo Bills. The Chiefs' loss here would fall to 5-6. And that would put them now pretty much 3 games behind the wild card with Jacksonville, Buffalo, and the Chargers, who, oh, by the way, all of those teams have beaten the Chiefs. And beyond that, now the Texans are in play too. So it's not like it's just a straight shot. Okay, you're 3 back these teams. Now you're behind Houston as well. And I don't expect the Texans to have a better record at the end of the season over the Chiefs, but who knows at this point. Anyways, though, actually, if the Ravens win this week, the Chiefs are going to be behind the Ravens and the Steelers too. I think the Colts bury the Chiefs this week. I really think they're out of sorts, man. And, last 2 weeks, back-to-back L's, sure, they're both on the road. The Chiefs only lost at home once this season, and that was in a game against the reigning champions, obviously in the Philadelphia Eagles. But back-to-back L's for the Chiefs. They are yet to win in the month of November. They have a short week after this, by the way, too. I don't think they're going to lose the Cowboys, but there's a chance the Cowboys might upset them. I'm just saying. Thursday, or obviously Thanksgiving game in Dallas. I don't know. The Chiefs don't play well on the road. I'm just saying. Dallas spread is going to be really good to us, I think, next week. I'll say that right now. Anyways, though, I'm going to take the Colts to cover against the Chiefs. I know this is basically the litmus test on Indianapolis. How good are the Colts truly? Because they've won big games. Don't get me wrong. I know how good the Colts are. Right now, if I had to pick a winner in the AFC, I'm taking the Indianapolis Colts. If you gave me $1,000 and said, or how much money you give me? If you give me an amount of money and said you have to bet on any team in the AFC right now to win the AFC, and I know again the odds right now are a cluster. I think the Chiefs probably are still favored to win the AFC, which is ridiculous. They're 5-5. I would put my money on the Indianapolis Colts. It's not a confident pick, I'll tell you that, in terms of who actually gets out of the AFC. But if I had to pick anybody to win the AFC right now, yeah, I'm taking Indianapolis. I am. So actually right now, no, the Chiefs are 4th now. So by far the Colts are the favorite to win the AFC. That's absurd. That's actually crazy. They've actually gotten here. Plus 400 for the Colts, then plus 550 for 3 teams, Broncos, Bills, Chiefs, plus 600 for Patriots and Ravens, plus 1,500 for the Chargers. Texans have better odds than the Jags. What? Texans plus 1,900, Jags plus 2,000, and Steelers plus 3,300. Again, though, I will tell you, I believe the Colts have the best chance to win the AFC this season. I really think so. And sure, again, when they get in the playoffs, they're gonna be in the dome likely. They're gonna be at Lucas Oil. Yeah, I know. Again, there's a 3-way tie right now for first place between them, New England, and obviously the Denver Broncos. And sure, going to Denver in the playoffs is gonna be tough. I think Denver's gonna slip up and lose a couple games down the stretch though. So I think it will be Indy's #1 seed. By the way, the Colts will own the tiebreaker over Denver. I think they're gonna be extremely difficult to beat in their environment in Indy. That's a tough place to play. Yes, again, the conditions aren't brutal, but you get to play the Colts in the dome, and the Colts, again, they're a much better team indoors, and their offense is explosive in Lucas Oil. When they are winning, and when the crowd is there and they're showing up, Lucas Oil gets very loud. Anyways, I'm gonna take the Colts to cover against the Chiefs. I believe they're legit, and I know the last time they won on the road and played a competitive game and a tough game against a playoff team, they lost to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Okay, it is what it is. They've now been actually tested in a road environment. Their only other road loss this season was the Rams, but obviously that's at SoFi, and if Adonai Mitchell doesn't, or A.D. Mitchell doesn't throw the football at the back of the end zone, the Colts win that game. There's a reason, right? Mitchell's now with the Goof Troop over in New York with the New York Jets. I think the Colts, again, they've been in a road environment. They played a competitive game 2 weeks ago in Germany, which, by the way, now you're coming off a bye week. You're fully focused on Kansas City. You're fully rested after going to Germany and winning that game. That is it's one of those games. Team chemistry gets boosted to the max with a win like that. You go to a different country, you go across the Atlantic Ocean, and you win a football game, and you win a football game in overtime like you did with Jonathan Taylor scoring 4 touchdowns and 244 yards. That is a momentum-boosting victory if I've ever seen one. On the road in Kansas City, it's time to officially establish yourselves as a serious threat in the AFC. And that's what the Colts are going to do this week. I think they're going to win, but if we're given the points, we're going to take the points because there's always the possibility. NFL, we can't have the Chiefs going to 5-6. We can't have the Colts beat the Chiefs. No. We need people to watch on Thanksgiving next week. We can't have 2 under 500 teams in the Chiefs and the Cowboys. No. We need the Chiefs to win. If they do that and they pull some crap, we still have 3.5 points in the Colts. So, actually, the NFL is going to make it extremely difficult on Indianapolis to win this football game, and I am concerned. I'll say that. I am actually concerned on that. Anyways, I'm going to take the Colts still. Give me Indianapolis here on the road, plus 3.5 points in KC at Arrowhead against the Chiefs. On to our third best bet of the video. We go now to the afternoon games. It might be the most confident bet I have all day. The Jacksonville Jaguars covered 2.5 points against the Arizona Cardinals. I'm very sure. I'm very confident in the Jaguars here. And I know the Jags, and we don't have the Niners this week, but the Jags and the Niners and the Bucs have been the teams I've gone to all year long for good reason. I mean, the Jags have been fairly good this year to us. Obviously, 2 weeks ago, they didn't come through in a game in Houston in which they were up by, 17 points in the fourth quarter, and they proceeded to lose. That was abysmal. That was horrible. But the Jacksonville Jaguars have instilled enough confidence in that game last week against the Los Angeles Chargers where I can say, okay, they're going to be fine in Arizona. That is a season-changing win the Jacksonville Jaguars pulled off last week against Los Angeles. Seriously. Season-defining victory. Season-altering victory. You lose that game, yes, they would have still been in the wild card over the Chiefs if they lost that game, but you needed to win that game against another playoff team, and they dominated the Chargers. And now you have the Texans around your ass. Sure, I don't know who has the tiebreaker currently. I believe it is Jacksonville. For now, I think Jacksonville has the tiebreaker because they've split this season. But anyways, I think it is. It's Houston right now. I think it is Houston. But obviously, the Jags are gonna get their chance to play their divisional games as well. But Jacksonville, right? That is a season-changing win. It says, okay, no, we are for real. We have been banged up. We're injured, but we found a way to dominate another playoff team in the Chargers. And sure, Los Angeles has never been a good cross-country team. They don't travel very well. The Chargers never have, and they still don't. Obviously, dating back to the time that the Jackson Chargers played in the wild card round in 22. I understand. Or actually, that was 23. But I'm so confident now in the Jags, and the fact that they were able to bounce back and win that game after, again, 2 season-altering games. You lose to Houston in that fashion, you're thinking, okay, season over, you absolutely spoiled it, and they come back the next week and beat up on the Chargers like that. I'm so impressed, man. So impressed. Lawrence is still, I like Trevor Lawrence quite a bit. I'm a big fan of Trevor Lawrence. I want the guy to do nothing but succeed. Some days he is just so iffy out there. But he did just enough to win that last game against Los Angeles, right? I mean, it wasn't all on the arm of Trevor Lawrence. Obviously, defense played very well. They ran the ball efficiently, too, with, Tootin, Bashal Tootin, and Travis Etienne. And now the Jags embark back on 2 more road games. So they're now going to play 4 or 5 weeks on the road is ridiculous. And then they get 2 more home games, then back on the road for 2 more after? Wow. That's crazy. But I said it earlier in the week, right? I think the Jags are going to win 10 games. I believe the Jags are going to go 10-7, and I think they're going to be in the playoffs. Because I think the Chiefs are also going to win 10 games, and obviously, well, who is the tiebreaker? It's Jacksonville. And then now, obviously, we have to kind of think about Houston. I did not expect Houston to beat Buffalo. I don't think the Texans are going to... I don't think they're going to win that many down the stretch, guys. This team still has to go to Indy next week. They have to play Indy twice. They got to play in Kansas City. They got to play in Los Angeles against the Chargers. That, to me, is looking like 9-8 at the best. Okay, 9-8 Texans, 10-7 Chiefs, 10-7 Jaguars. The Jags would obviously get in then. But the Jags should cover against the Cardinals. On the road, controlled environment, at, again, it's not, it's not University of Phoenix Stadium anymore. State Farm Stadium over in Glendale, Arizona. And hey, Jacoby Brissett just set an NFL record. His jersey from last week's game against the Niners is now in Canton, Ohio in the Hall of Fame for most completions in a single game. It's great. The team lost by 19 points. Where Jacoby Brissett threw 47 completions and had 452 yards. Yet the team still lost by 19 points. Again, that's a problem. No Marv this week, so obviously Michael Wilson reemerges in the number 1 receiver role. Obviously splitting that with Trey McBride. McBride obviously tight end, but sure, again, as an official receiver, yes, it is Michael Wilson as the number 1, target. I think, the Cardinals' run of playing competitive games and always covering was fun. And the win against the Cowboys on Monday Night Football is great. They have fully fallen back down to earth with back-to-back blowout losses essentially against the Seattle Seahawks and the San Francisco 49ers. Yes, they make the end of those games look not that bad. I mean, sure, they still lose both those games by around 20. But the final scores of both the Seattle and Niners games don't look as bad as the games were actually playing out. Brissett is making more mistakes with the football. Yes, he did 47 completions, but early in that game, Brissett does not play particularly well. The Cardinals cannot run the football. I know, again, DeMarcado has been dealing with injuries. We don't know if Trey Benson's going to be back yet. I think DeMarcado actually is out this week. Emari DeMarcado is out. Trey Benson is out as well, so it's going to be all Bam Knight in the backfield this week, and Michael Carter as well, which actually, maybe I should pick up Bam Knight in fantasy this week. Actually, no, I need a receiver. Anyways, Bam Knight, though, probably will get a lot of the attempts from the backfield. The problem is, though, this team just doesn't run the ball well in general. Jacksonville's defense is all right. I know they had that game where they gave up a lot of points against the Raiders and whatnot. They found a way to win. And you look this week, again, I think the offense is going to play well enough, and I think they're going to get it done. And I think the defense is going to do a great job against Jacoby Brissett. The Cardinals are going to go out this game, and Jonathan Gannon's going to say, you know what, we're going to throw the ball all game long, and we're going to try to do what's brought us to the dance. Well, that's if the dance was a 3-7 record. Give me the Jacksonville Jaguars on the road. At -2.5 points gets you to -120 with the odds. I'm going to take that. Give me Jacksonville on the road to cover against the Arizona Cardinals. Now, next up, the game we have all been waiting for, the game this week, the biggest 2-8 football game of all time, the Las Vegas Raiders and the Cleveland Browns. We are taking Shedeur Sanders and the Cleveland Browns. It's perfect timing. It's perfect timing. Give me the Browns. Give me Cleveland. I'm so confident. Oh, Shedeur didn't look good against the Ravens. Oh no, he came off the bench. Doesn't play with the first team, and I understand no backup quarterback does that. That's fair. I understand that point. Shedeur's a rookie. It's not like he's an experienced backup, Kenny Pickett's the backup for the Raiders. Kenny Pickett has played in a lot of games. He started a bunch of games in the NFL. Shedeur Sanders' first ever action in the NFL was coming off the bench. Ice cold, coming off the bench, coming out of halftime. Oh, yeah, go ahead. You're playing the Ravens now. What? He now gets to play one of the worst teams in the National Football League. Now, I understand. The Raiders might sack him 8 times tonight, or on Sunday, and I'm a little concerned. Because Shedeur, and I will say this, for as big of a Shedeur fan as I am, Sanders needs to stop that crap where he runs around the backfield and keeps going backwards trying to find guys. He has to stay in the pocket, and I understand the Browns don't block for him, okay? There's that screenshot where you have 3 Browns linemen blocking right and, trying to pass block one defensive end, and then a linebacker shoots right up the B gap, right up the B gap, and you've got center guard tackle all looking one direction. Sorry, he goes A gap, sorry. No one's picking him up. Browns O-line needs to be better. Shedeur needs to be better. And that's okay. I think I have to believe they've ironed this out throughout the week. And for Shedeur Sanders, this is bigger than just another football game, obviously. I mean, this is Shedeur's chance. If Shedeur wins this game, Shedeur Sanders will get another start. You would have to think. And if that's not the case, Kevin Stefanski should be fired. Okay? If Shedeur Sanders can win this game, it's his first ever start in the NFL. We can basically giving Shedeur. We don't really care what happened last game. Yeah, again, Browns blew it. They were up big, but they were playing Baltimore. Browns weren't expected to win that game in the first place, and it's not like Dylan Gabriel was playing lights out before the concussion either. So this is Shedeur's first start, and if Sanders wins this week, he will have the exact amount of wins as a starter than both of the other starting quarterbacks this season for the Cleveland Browns. Obviously, I'm referring to Joe Flacco, who got a win against the Packers, and Dylan Gabriel, who beat the Miami Dolphins in Cleveland. It's a big opportunity for Shedeur, man, especially against a team, too, in the Las Vegas Raiders that were really linked and tied to Shedeur. Everyone thought the Raiders were going to pick Shedeur in the first round. Obviously, that did not happen. Raiders went Ashton Jeanty, which, fair. We thought it was second-round pick. Shedeur, Raiders, no, they go Jack Besh instead from Texas Christian. This is a huge game for Shedeur Sanders, and it gets to prove why he is the starting quarterback for the Cleveland Browns, and he's going to do exactly that. Now, okay. We are going to take the 3.5 points, though. We are going to take the 3.5 points just in case, okay? Just in case this goes south. If it's a competitive game, we still cover. And I am slightly concerned, I will say, about Shedeur Sanders backing up with Max Crosby in the backfield, potentially. That's scary. But I do believe Cleveland's going to let Shedeur throw. I know, a lot of the thought process might be, it's just going to be a big Quinshon Judkins day. It might. And I think the Browns have to establish a run game early, but I think Shedeur is actually getting disrespected with his yards prop this week. We'll have more on that later today too. Play action is going to be huge for the Browns, and something that the Browns have not had the luxury of having the last couple weeks is a guy who can actually throw a deep ball. Guys, and I know Shedeur missed that deep ball on the rollout the other, where he made a nice play to get to the outside and just missed the guy in the end zone at the end of the game against the Ravens. I understand. The Browns have been drawing up plays and calling plays with a quarterback who, no disrespect to Dylan Gabriel, can't throw the ball over 35 yards. Shedeur Sanders can launch it 50-plus if he needs to. So there is the opportunity now if we establish a run game for the Browns with Quinshon Judkins, who has quietly become a very good running back in this league, a guy who's going to be the starting running back for a very long time for the Cleveland Browns. And Dylan Sampson, too. How about Dylan Sampson, rookie at Tennessee? Once they start hammering that run game, then you go play action. You got Shedeur launching it over the top. And even that short play action game, too, with the tight ends. Don't know if Njoku's playing yet or not. Actually, have they cleared Njoku yet? No, Njoku is officially playing. But Harold Fannin, honestly, has been the number one tight end this year. This has been the regression year, unfortunately, for David Njoku in a season where we thought, maybe he'd have a really great year because Flacco's back. He's really taken a step back to the rookie out of Bowling Green, and we've known how good Harold Fannin is. That was a great pickup for the Browns, but that's going to be a big target today for Shedeur Sanders. Don't forget as well, Harold Fannin is the leading receiver so far this season for Cleveland. On top of that, this is more than obviously Shedeur Sanders. You got to look at the defensive side of the ball as well for Cleveland. Well, this has been one of the most consistent, best defenses in the National Football League. The Browns have a very great defense. They've got guys all over the field, and they attack the quarterback. They get pressure as well, and they're a good run defense. Ashton Jeanty's going nowhere this week. I will tell you that immediately. Jeanty's getting pushed backwards all game long. The Browns going to be all over that. And sure, again, yes, Brock Bowers can beat you downfield 100%. That's it. The Browns have a good enough secondary. They should be able to stop Geno Smith, and Geno said it himself. Something goes wrong, blame Geno. You miss the bus, blame Geno. You wake up too late, blame Geno. If you're in a bad mood, blame Geno. And I'm going to do just that. We're going to blame Geno for everything. Geno, 12 touchdowns, 13 picks. He's been horrible this season. And Geno knows it. He said himself, I need to be better. I don't think he's going to play all that well against the Browns. And if he does play well, we're just going to blame him for our loss as well. So we're going to continue to blame Geno. And we're going to take the Cleveland Browns spread this week. I think they win. And I am hoping that they win so badly. We need Shedeur Sanders to be the starting quarterback for the rest of the season for the Cleveland Browns. Absolutely. But I'm going to take Browns plus 3.5 on the road at the Death Star to cover at minus 105 against the Las Vegas Raiders. On to our final best bet of the video. Let's go to Sunday Night Football, Los Angeles, California, for the Los Angeles Rams and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Give me Tampa +7 in a game in which I expect to be a shootout. That's what the Bucs do. It's just what the Bucs do. Tampa, I know, did not cover this line last week up in Orchard Park against the Buffalo Bills, losing a competitive game 44-32. I understand that. But if I can count on Baker Mayfield to do anything, that's score points. And in a spot like this where the Bucs from the jump know we need to score tonight. We need to put up a bunch of points on this football team. And truth be told, it's the final tough test for the Buccaneers until the playoffs, right? Tampa's going to close the year on 5 straight wins, and they're going to go in the playoffs and likely match up against the Rams, the Seahawks in the first round in Tampa Bay. That's likely what's going to happen. And we've gone over this, like, oh, Carolina's kind of competitive in the division. You got to see the teams Tampa's playing. Tampa's playing Arizona, Saints, Falcons, 3 straight home games, then Carolina, Miami, Carolina to close the season. So if you have Buccaneers in fantasy, by the way, we're going to be eating come postseason time in the playoffs. All right, there's a reason I have Baker, Bucky, who should be back next week, Godwin, and everybody. We've been the Tampa defense. Weeks 15 through 17, Atlanta, Carolina, Miami in the playoffs. Oh, we're eating. Anyways, though, this is the last, somewhat competitive game the Bucs are going to have to play, or a game that they're going to be obviously dogs in until the postseason, where they're going to get a home game, obviously, in the playoffs because they always win the NFC South. I think they cover here. Do they win? I think there's a chance. Rams coming off such a high of last week of winning that competitive divisional matchup against the Seahawks, a huge game that they needed to get. They're 8-2. They might fall back down to earth this week. Tampa's a team where I know their defense sucks, and that's going to really suck against a Rams team who has always kind of owned the Buccaneers, dating back to the early 2000s. Let's go back to, the NFC Championship game actually in 1999. It was played in 2000, where the Rams won a game, 13-8, I think, 12-8 against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the NFC Championship game, the rookie pro game. I mean, I think they did it to him again, if I'm not mistaken, in 2001 in the NFC Championship game, and obviously just a couple years ago, Brady's second to last season, the Rams go into Tampa and beat the Bucs. So Los Angeles has always kind of had the Bucs number. I get it. I just need the Bucs to play a competitive football game here. That's all I need. Baker's slowly getting his guys back. And this is, again, I've been saying it, Tampa's a team no playoff team right now wants to see, or is going to want to see. Because, yeah, they're 6-4 right now, but they're so hurt. Bucky should be back next week. Godwin's supposed to be back this week. But eventually, again, you're going to get Bucky back. You're going to get that O-line fully healthy. And then Mike Evans is going to come back for the last couple weeks of the regular season and into the playoffs as well. Tampa will be at 100% come postseason time. And when they were so dangerous early in the season, when they beat Seattle with none of these guys playing, but when they, beat Atlanta on the road early in the year, they went to Houston on Monday night and won, right? When they, were competitive against the Philadelphia Eagles, that's when they were close to 100%. They're going to be at 100% come postseason time after some really, easy / layup type games to close the regular season. Now, in this spot against Los Angeles, I believe they can cover 7 points. I really do think so. I think Tampa's going to cover 7. I know what Stafford and this offense can do, and I've always said it, and I hate sometimes. It's a love-hate relationship with Todd Bowles' defense. I will still never forgive Todd Bowles for losing that divisional round game in 22. The Bucs should have gone back-to-back, or 21 season into early 2022. They should have gone back-to-back. They would have beat the 49ers. They would have beat the Bengals in the Super Bowl, and Brady could have retired with 8 rings. I mean, and maybe, Brady saves his marriage. I don't know. I think Brady's better without whatever the hell. I'm not going to say what I want to say about Giselle. Regardless, though, Tampa, I think, again, with that Bulls defense of, heavy pressure, get to the quarterback, and we leave our corners and safeties on islands, it's a brutal game to play. And guys like Matthew Stafford, obviously, like we saw in the playoffs against, the Bucs-Rams game, the Stafford, shot over the top to Cooper Kupp. I mean, the Rams are on their own 30-yard line at 2nd and 10. Bucs send pressure on 2nd and 10 and try to send that game into overtime. What does Stafford do? Launches one downfield, Cooper Kupp on a post route, first down into Bucs territory, game over, field goal, Matt Gay. Ooh, man. I'm scarred by that game, dude. Like, I just, it's brutal. Brady could have 8. He could have 8, man. He could have 8. It's okay. He won 7. Whatever. It's a difficult game to play against this Rams team because it's still Stafford, and you got Puka, you got Devontae Adams. There's so many weapons on this team. The simplest way I can put this is it's going to be a shootout. The Rams are going to score a lot. I believe the Bucs will answer. You look at the over/under for this game; it's sitting at 49.5. I would take the over in that, with that line too. But I do just believe Tampa can score quite a bit. I believe in Baker. He does get one of his targets back this week, and Chris Godwin. And again, he slowly will get them back. Bucky next week likely against the Cardinals. We're thinking Mike Evans probably week 16 in Carolina. Again, Baker's going to get his guys, and he's going to get this team going. And I believe the Buccaneers are still going to be a problem in the postseason in the NFC. Like, they're going to host either the Rams, probably the Seahawks in the playoffs, and I think they're going to beat Seattle. 4-5 matchup. Seattle might have 13 victories going into that game, 12 victories going into that game. They might be favored with the Seahawks, and I think the Bucs are going to beat Seattle in the first round of the playoffs. And again, it's not going to be surprising to me. I've seen that story before. Hell, we saw it a couple years ago when Philly went to Tampa Bay in the first round and lost. I mean, the Bucs are a very good team. I know, again, they got last year by the Commanders, but who didn't? I think they're going to play a competitive game tonight or on Sunday night against the Rams, and we get +7 with the Bucs, -125. Sign me up for the Buccaneers. Folks, thank y'all for watching our NFL Best Bets here for week number 12 of the NFL season. If you have not yet, though, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for more. Make sure to leave a like if you did enjoy the video, and make sure to comment if you did disagree with any of the picks. We'll be back later today at 5 o'clock Pacific for our best player props as well, so make sure to be on the lookout for that. Folks, thank y'all for watching, and Mamba forever.